Welcome, my fellow muties, humans, and extraterrestrials. We are continuing our comprehensive series on X-Force and how they are a pseudo X-Men team. Well, right now labeled as a terrorist faction, and we'll learn more about that why. If we recall in the last issue 4, because we're only going to be reviewing 5 through 7, in the last part of issue 4, Juggernaut and Black Tom hijacked the towers and had a massive war with Gideon and X-Force and Spider-Man, and they got away teleporting. The question is, how did they get away? Well, we're about to find out and learn more. We're going to start off with issue 5 of X-Force. Now, this is a unique issue because it's a first appearance of 3 reasons. 2 characters as reason number 1 and 2, and the rebirth of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Now, Tonaby, aka the Toad, is leading the new pseudo Brotherhood of Evil Mutants without Magneto. He allied himself with Pyro, Sauron, Fred, aka the Blob, and this new character, which we'll learn more later on. I don't know much about her currently either. Fantasia. It starts off with Deadpool holding Black Tom and Juggernaut. Basically, things occurred. Why is it out of focus? There we go. Things occurred, and Tolliver decided that he wanted to have Black Tom and Juggernaut underneath his paycheck or payroll. Over here in this panel, Juggernaut is begging Tolliver, or actually thanking him and also begging him for Black Tom, his best friend, to have a doctor because he is sick or severely injured. Now we see a evil grin of the Toad monologuing on how he wants to bring back a certain character for the evil Brotherhood of Mutants. Or the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, sorry. And we see this normal guy talking about how he's going to go home, cook dinner for his girlfriend, and just wants to go to bed because he had a hard day at work. And then he comes home to this nonsense. He sees his girlfriend or wife, wasn't really specified, but we just know it's the loved one of this doctor, I cannot say his name. Likos? I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher that name. And he found a surprise that Toad and the Blob's here. The Blob basically running the doctor over as the Toad is holding the lady hostage. As he is wringing his neck, basically, Toad is monologuing saying, "We are here to introduce you because we are looking for your other half, your mutant side." And this is him basing, Fred over here is introducing his fingers to your throat. His name's the Blob. The Doctor has no recollections when he is in this human identity, I guess, because he wants this other half. Now we come back in subtides, and Toad is just being a complete other jerk for no reason, because he wants something, and for some reason he's much more ballsy than usually is. Curious why. We'll find out more. Now we cut down here to Gideon being on the media, talking about how Cable, leader of the X-Force, was helping Juggernaut and Black Tom, holding them hostage. So he is trying to make bad publicity against Cable. Now remember, Cable just left, so S.H.I.E.L.D. has no intel, and S.H.I.E.L.D. really wants to know something. So this is going to be helpful for S.H.I.E.L.D. because now they want to go after Cable. Because, you know, the media. That was the last issue when he left. So, here, this has been playing on every station. CNN, NBC, Fox, good old news. Anyhow, there's an altercation between Cable, Boom Boom, Sam, and Domino because they don't know what's going on, and now they're being labeled as a terrorist group because they are not the X-Men. Gotta remember, the X-Men kind of works with the government, and the X-Factor is part of the government. Which we'll know more about X-Factor and X-Men in general. Domino and Boom Boom are talking, and they just want answers, but, you know, Cable's not going to say anything. They don't have to know right now on anything. And Cable is pretty much saying, you can either trust me, or leave and go join Gideon. And Sam is like, no, I'm going to stay here, keep an eye on you, and watch everything till the end. And Boom Boom also agrees. Baseball. I mean, not basketball. I have baseball on the brain because I was looking at other comics later. So Cable, Domino, Cable was about to fight Guthrie, and Domino's like, no, we're not letting this happen. Like I said, they all pretty much calmed down and joined forces. Warpath is over here monologuing to himself about the injustices of Native Americans on everything that occurred throughout history. Because the injustice he's currently dealing with is the Hellfire Club killing everyone he loved and his whole tribe. So he's pretty much asking Tribal Tree's ancestors to give him the strength, for he is part of the Apache. Over here we have flirtatious monologuing Feral to herself, just eyeballing Shatterstar as he's training, because, you know, he's got those amazing, gorgeous muscles, and she wants to get all up in them. Because the dialogue is unhinged like that. So as he is still training, everything is occurring. He eventually stops because he notices someone's over there watching him, and it turns out to be Feral, because Feral cannot keep herself together around Shatterstar and Marvel advertisements. What is that? 5 fabulous decades of the world's greatest comics, Marvel. Huh. It's basically a Bible for Marvel comics. The Hook. Feral gets shut down by Shatterstar because Shatterstar has no care in the world of women, for he is a bred fighter on the planet Mojo. He fights for entertainment. Siren over here has been watching Shatterstar also train, and Cable just kind of just walks in casually talking to Siren about having her join the X-Force, which, after everything she dealt with on Mir's Island, which is the Mir saga back in X-Men, Uncanny X-Men and X-Factor, which I'll eventually do a video on and explain the Mir saga, the Mir Island saga, and we learn more about Cerisa and the Shadow King. But she's mentally broken at this point. She's been through some very terrible situations. So she's like, I'm ready to join the X-Force. I don't care how dirty it's going to get. Because Cable is going to be telling her what he has not told Sam or Boom Boom, that it's going to get really dangerous, really fast, and it's going to be bad for everyone. And she still agrees to it. Because he has more respect for her, for she is the daughter of Banshee. Look at that. Good old t-shirts back in the day, 1991. Here we have Bridge. This guy. Oh boy. Good old Geiger. Nick Fury and Val Cooper. So, Nick Fury, Gyrick are all having a meeting, which is why I'm laughing, because Gyrick is the one guy who absolutely hates mutants. So he wants to seriously go after X-Force with everything. Valerie is like, no, not happening, because we don't need that kind of incident nor publicity stunt. We're dealing with a lot already. Nick Fury just wants more intel because he needs to capture Cable, now because Cable is labeled as a terrorist. The only reason why, and Bridge kind of figured out, the reason why he's here is because he has a past with Cable. He was part of the Six Pack along with Domino. So was other characters like Kane. And he's like, correct, this is why we need you. And Val Cooper is like, no, we need you also because we can't have Gyrick go unhinged on us and cause a national incident. Because Gyrick has a plan. Because, okay, first off, X Factor isn't in commission enough to deal with X-Force. There's not enough information. So everyone wants to pull away from X Factor for now so they can deal with Operation Wake. Whatever operation he wants to do with that, because, you know, it's Gyrick, a mutant-hating character. We're back here now with the Toad, the Blob, having a device hooked up where the Doctor and his girlfriend are captured and hanging up. He knows how to unlock his mutant potential, so he's going to do this, and there is a sacrifice, which whenever he transforms, needs energy. That's who's... You're going to figure that one out soon enough, who the person is going to be devoured by, or being devoured. He turns the device on, putting him in extreme pain, and slowly transforming into what appears to be... Advertisement break real quick. I just want to show this off because this is really funny. It's no joke. All orders sent postmarked by November 9th get a free limited edition X-Men hologram card by Jim Lee. And he's holding Wolverine. The Joker is holding Wolverine in his hand. The 90s was awesome. Continuing on, also Robin. Cablegrams. This is like a newsletter talking about the future of X-Force and where it's going to be leading to. Also behind the scenes development. The fun things. Anyhow, we're back. As they are basically laughing to themselves because Tonaby's an absolute dick, Sauron appears, who seems to be like a pterodactyl human. Now, Sauron is back. This is bad. He is a absolute menace. I'm going to make a whole dedication video on Sauron in the future. But he's on the list. This dude is horrible. So now, Tonaby is the genius, and he has two heavy-hitting characters. The Blob and Sauron. And this dude can fly. The next issue, Toad makes a pact with the Morlocks. That means big trouble for X-Force. Ah, good old days. Advertisement. But yes, that is issue 5 of X-Force. Now we're going to continue on to 6. And we see Shatterstar fighting Sauron. You gotta give it to Rob Liefeld, though. He makes really good art covers. Good old Image. Classic series. Now, this is fun. We have Strife monologuing to Zero about how everyone thinks he has failed. How X-Force are laughing at him for falling behind, for X-Force infiltrated their base. X-Factor and X-Men taking out Strife a few times. So everyone thinks they got him beaten. But no, this dude has a plan. He states that in my timeline, I'm a dominator. And for him to come back into this timeline, he wants to undo everything. But he has no idea that everyone is a chess. Just showing us some artwork because there's a lot that he just monologues for a few pages. So he's gonna be monologuing throughout. I skipped a page, my bad. There we go. So he's sitting here monologuing how Cable beat him, Bishop beat him, Fitzroy has failed his objective because he was beaten by Bishop. You have another ally of the XSE, which is Xavier Security Enforcers, Xavier and Magneto in an image, and he's still monologuing how everyone thinks they're a chessboard, how everyone has a higher ego, but in reality, if they got rid of that ego and worked together, they would get more done. But unfortunately, that ego gets in their way because obviously these two have polar opposite views how to handle the mutant race with the human race that's also dying through Darwinism because of evolutionary traits. He's trying to make peace. This dude's saying, I'm the superior one. So that's how you got the term Homo sapiens superiors. Came from Magneto. And he's like, everyone's a chess, thinks they're a chess man, but in reality, they're on the chess master and they're on my board, and I'm the one who's moving the pieces. Their little successions are important to themselves because this guy's apparently Cable, right? He's like saying he's a man of the future. What does that mean? Man of the future. And Cable's also from the future. How are they connected? That's the key to all this, the connections, which we're going to learn more about later. Now let's move on. After Strife's monologue, Toad has a plan. He wants to, basically in his terms, wed the Morlocks, which the Morlock leader is Meskew, and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, merge them together so they become more powerful faction, since everyone has an X in their name and they think that they can police all of us. Because you have the XSE, Xavier Security Enforcers, the X-Men, the X-Factor, and now the new X-Force. And all these characters now, all these villains, are now desperate. And let me tell you, if anyone who understands underground tunnel warfare would be Meskew. But anyways, he wants them to merge together to fight this. Now, second appearance number 2. Thorn. Yeah, this is the first appearance issue. There's 2 of them. So Thorn goes on a monologuing rant saying that she's tired of all the Morlocks living on the ground, that they deserve to be living on top because they have power and humans don't, and we want to get rid of the X-Force. But in return, I want to kill my sister Feral. So if you want us to join forces with you, we have to kill my sister first. And that's kind of their bargain deal. So they both gonna agree to this, and they're gonna come up with a plan. We come here, and we have Domino and Cable being in a bathtub together. That they were having training sessions. Actual danger room training sessions. Also implying other things too, but we're gonna skip that. There's a lot of sarcasm in the dialogue on how he was trying to flirt with Domino and it completely failed. So they are talking about that they should tell Boom Boom and Sam the truth. Cannonball, that why Cable's here and why he's building the X-Force. And he's like, they're not ready yet. They're still too childish. They're not soldiers. They're not prepared for the truth. Then you have Boom Boom and Cannonball. Cannonball, I wanted to say Cable because I just said Cable. Over here, chilling, making dinner together. And you have Pharaoh over here just kind of chilling on the counter because she's a cat. Mutants gotta love them. These two are flirting with each other because they want to kind of be together in a future that seems horrible and dreadful and despairing, but they don't know what's to come because they're living in the now. And Boom Boom gives a sarcastic remark to Farrell and saying that Farrell and Sam don't like her. Saying Boom Boom and Sam don't like Farrell because she physically harmed Sam and almost gutted him. So those two are fighting. She's already in a foul mood because she couldn't be with Shatterstar, so she's already pissed off. And those two are going to be fighting it out with words. Boom Boom walks away. And Farrell's like, if you make an enemy out of me, you're going to regret that. It's a big, big, big mistake. We go down here. We have Warpath, Siren, and Shatterstar. Shatterstar wants to do more invigorating training because he's not getting enough training in the danger room. He needs a real-life thinking opponent because he's a bred warrior. He feels like if he doesn't do enough with his skills, it's going to fail. Oops, that didn't work. There we go. Just trying to, help it angle better. Anyways, he's like, look, fine, I will fight you, but you gotta make sure that you take it seriously. And he's like, look, you fight for entertainment, I'm fighting for vengeance. And he wants to make sure Shatterstar knows that this isn't a game to Warpath. This is real. He wants to go after Hellfire Club badly, and he doesn't know or doesn't feel like the X-Force are taking his vengeance seriously because he's only here on the agreement that Cable's going to help him with the Hellfire Club. So these two fight it out. This is like a straight up Braun Breaker versus Shawn Michaels match. He gets clocked in the face. He's like, wow, that's a really good hit. But it's okay, you can hit me once and that's all you're going to get. And Warpath's like, put down the swords. And he's like, I just have my hand, because Shatterstar is like, he needs swords in his hand to fight, because that's what he trains with, his weaponry. And he's like, I need to make sure that they're in my hand so I can feel like I'm actually doing something. And trust me, I won't actually harm a friend or an ally. He just wants a sparring match. Newspaper Boy. It's a movie advertisement. That's an Adam Sandler film, isn't it? I'm not sure. More advertisements, bulletin news, the good stuff. Konami. Super Castlevania 4. 3 is my personal favorite, but Castlevania 4 is awesome. Along with Mystery Ninja. Oh, I'm sorry, Mystical Ninja. I was trying to read that. And we're back here with the fighting. And again, Warpath grabs Shatterstar by the neck and pretty much just punches him into the air, knocking him out. He was like, listen, okay, I'm not playing around. We need to make sure that we're taking vengeance serious. This isn't a game. People will die, Shatterstar. This isn't entertainment. This is real. Shatterstar was like, that's fine, I understand. And are you ready for round 2? Because he lost the first match. Siren intervenes like, no, I think enough is enough. We should go back and drink some beer at the pub. Warpath and Shatterstar both agree, and Warpath is like, I'm not joking, by the way, I'm being absolutely serious. And Shatter understands Warpath is being serious because he respects warriors. All of a sudden, Siren gets jumped by Pyro and the Blob. I love this. Warpath and Shatterstar is like, okay, I don't know who these people are. Warpath is like giving a quick explanation on who these people are. Blob is like a movable object, and Pyro just uses fire. So Pyro's talking mad crap and is Australian holding an Irish hostage. You see how this is going to go well. Siren, who's a trained martial artist, just flips the crap out of Pyro. All suddenly, the Blob is bodying up against Warpath, and Sauron just kidnaps Shatterstar. And Shatterstar is like, you failed to mention a flying one. So now it is X-forrce versus the mutants of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. These names get ridiculous after you say them out loud after a while. It's kind of fun saying them out loud. These are pretty much panels explaining the character's backstory and stuff. I am going to be breaking these down later on, but I just want to show them off real quick. And Warlock and the Infinity Watch, because this happens after. I'm trying to think when this happens, because Infinity War happens around this time. But that might be later on. Now we have X-Force issue 7. Casualties of War. You see Cable and Boom Boom holding what appears to be Cannonball in her arms. And we see the word Casualty of Wars. What's going to happen here? This is X-Force versus the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Oh yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm not editing none of this out. You're welcome. This is a professional channel, remember that. Warpath and Siren are now teaming up, and they're going to take out the Toad. Now, this Toad is different. You got to remember, Toad was a lackey for Magneto, and he constantly failed. All of a sudden, he's a leader? That's insane, right? Rob Liefeld's giving characters the best evil smiles possible. Sauron is like, buddy, if you keep swinging at me and you fall, you're gonna die. And Shatterstar like, I don't care, I'm kicking you out of the air. I'm gonna dog walk your ass. And he's just fighting it out with Sauron. And he's like, okay, I need to recuperate. We need to get some weapons. So after he's fighting it out with Sauron, punching him, and he falls, he goes into the water. Because he's like, this height's not going to kill me, but I'm going to have to try and fall and catch myself. So he goes in here, he's like in this area, and he's like running away. Because he needs to regroup and get some weapons. He figured his team can handle themselves, they have mutant powers. We see now Fantasia, Fantasia, Thorn, and Mesquite together looking for something, and they have an idea of where the entrance is to the X-Force facility. Fantasia has a way of sensing electrical forces and like can manipulate technology. She has an interesting ability. She can manipulate kinetic fields and stuff. So she finds it, she can feel the vibrations of the electricity, and they open it up, the hatch in the mountain. I forgot to mention, they give themselves an edge, they turn the power off, because they all can see in the dark. Mesquite's like, okay, time to plant the plastiques and blow the joint up. And all suddenly the lights came back on, and it catches them off guard, and Cable's in no mood. He's like, okay, I am tired of these mutants and all my enemies breaking into my house. This is getting rather annoying. And he's telling the X-Force to split up as a team to take down the opponents. The opposition now. More good old advertisements. Wolverine, Cage, Punisher. Gotta love it. Back to the fighting. Warpath is fighting off the Blob and throws the Blob into the ravine. He's like, I had enough of your crap, and just bodies him into the water. Siren and Pyro fight each other, and Pyro's just throwing fire at her, and Siren's like, you know what? I am so sick of you saying the word you, screeching her powers, and knocking out Pyro. Because she can scream. She has like the power of like manipulating like her voice to do high screeches, which can just like knock your ears out of proportion through your equilibrium. So he just fell out. He's knocked down unconscious. Toad is like, I have a new power, and I am going to use this secretion on my fingers to, you can see the secretion right there, to seal her mouth shut. And before that could happen, he gets blasted in the back by Shatterstar, because he weaponed up. He has a gun, 2 swords, and a bunch of pouches, because you gotta have the pouches. And he's like, look, I usually don't interfere with warriors because that's dishonorable, but I understand that we're also a team, so I figured it was okay to intervene. And Simon's like, yes, you're finally learning on how to be a normal person in our society, because you're a team player. And he's like, okay, I need to get rid of the flying bird. I'm going to shoot the bird lizard out of the sky, because that's what he calls him. So Warpath, Shatterstar, and Siren taking lead, are joining force, regroup, and trying to meet up and rejoin forces with the other members. Just like the enemy is, trying to meet up with everyone. Thorn is going to 1v1 Feral. Cable's like, I want you to go after Thorn, and I'm going to flank her. And in reality, Thorn is the one who's been beating the crap out of Feral. So a massive cat fight breaks out, referencing Dynasty, that is turning into a cat fight. Thorn is like, yeah, I beat your ass multiple times, I'm gonna do it again. Then you had Cable trying to shoot Fantasia, and it just does nothing. So Cable had the Cannonball, and Cable had a bright idea for Cannonball to flank her, and basically does nothing because she disrupts her field. She has the field disruption, which disrupted Cannonball's field. So Boom Boom later on is like, what just happened? We gotta find Cannonball. And Cable's like, no, there's no time. We gotta regroup and get on top side. We're outmatched. Fantasia is an unknown character. No one has any information. And Cable does not like that. He likes to have all intel at all times. He's like a Batman in a way. Feral and Thorn go back at it. It ain't happening very well. And then later on they just keep monologuing to each other, saying how pissed Feral is because she has never repented for what she has done to everyone. Because she feels like Feral is the enemy in this situation and Thorn is the good guy. That's how Thorn feels. Thorn basically grabs Feral by the throat, holding her in the air with one hand, and then using her other hand just to choke her out, laying her out as she is unconscious. Again, Thorn has won and beat Feral. Sauron is later getting back, and he's like, enough of everyone's crap. He was like, we need to find Blob and figure out what happened. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, a guy wants to fly at me? Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and casually pierces him. He's like, my talons can cut through anything of you flesh bags. So Cable and Boom Boom are shocked that they see cannonball impaled. She's like screaming out loud. He's not moving. He's not breathing. He's dead. So we have Cannonball dead. Secrets and Shocks. We're not going to believe it. So this ends right here. Cable is really pissed off. That is not what needed to happen for him. That's a bad luck situation. And Boom Boom is in hysteria. Now we're going to pan over here to the rest of the comic, Weapon X. Kane got a 2 a.m. call by GST that there's a couple of liquor and cigarette smugglers. And he's like, okay, well, I got to do the government's job. Time to figure out what was going on and infiltrate and see the smuggling operation. Turns out that these are heavily equipped people. He's like, okay, well, these are well-equipped individuals for a single cigarette and liquor operation. There's got to be more to this. And it turns out, after he's done beating the crap out of all these pseudo-Hydra members, they're all Strife's men. Just going in, throwing them around, bodying people, beating them up. Perfect Rob Liefeld's art. And Fabian Izia. And he's like, okay, what's next? And then he got smacked in the head by forearms, and he's like, oh, what did I have walked into? This is not good. I just walked into a Mutant Liberation Front operation, and is to be continued. That is the conclusion of X-forrce, X-forrce, issue 5 through 7. We will continue more of this next week, while I also have little backgrounds showing some stuff that I might be working on in future projects and videos, besides doing my weekly uploads on my so-called professional channel. But thank you all for being here. You all have a wonderful night, and thank you.